Diablo 2 is an evil game.
Few games have had an impact as profound and lasting on me as Diablo 2. It's less like a game that I've played and more like a feeling that lingers. A kind of nostalgia that at the same time makes me anxious, but also has me longing to go back. I've been thinking about this game a lot
I see what
lately,
you mean.
how deeply disturbing and dark it is, how it has influenced my taste not just in games, but in movies and music, how I carry Diablo 2 with me wherever I go. You may not realize it the first time you play it, maybe not even the 10th or 50th time that you've gone back to it, but eventually you'll come to understand that Diablo 2, at its core, is an evil game. It's not evil in the sense that it promotes evil doing, or has you, the player, doing bad things. On the surface, you are a hero fighting the good fight. You descend into literal hell to defeat Diablo and his forces of terror. But as it goes, the best hiding places can often be in plain sight, and beneath the obvious demonic imagery and sinister themes that are encountered throughout the game lurks an element of pure evil that, in the best way possible, has earned Diablo 2 its place in history, permanently embedding it in the hearts and minds of millions of gamers across the globe. Today we're going to talk about Diablo 2's hidden, or maybe not so hidden, evil nature, and how this element makes it such a masterful and thought-provoking art piece, and not just a game. Before we get started, hi, my name is Angelica, and we're getting close to the end of our limited runtime for the official channel Desk Mats from Epic Desk, so if you haven't gotten yours yet and you want to, be sure to do that now, otherwise you might miss out. Once they're gone, they're gone. When exploring this truly evil element of Diablo 2, I think we should start from the most obvious point. The game certainly looks the part. Diablo 2 is an excellent example of taking a setting and really working it to its full potential. In this case, the intention is to present you with a grim, demon-infested world that is on the brink of eternal chaos. This world is split into 5 acts. The first of these is a sort of medieval UK Ireland type setting. Dark, cloudy skies, no sun, luscious green grass from all the rain, stone walls and structures that are overrun by Diablo's minions. The second act is a Middle Eastern type desert setting, featuring the jewel city of Lut-Gholein, prosperous thanks to its port and access to trading routes. Outside the tall city walls, you face the dangers that are posed by the harsh environment, alongside the demons that now dwell above and below the sands, in ancient tombs infested with the restless dead. The third act is a jungle, a frustrating and thick maze that houses all the threats you could possibly imagine in such a setting. Act 3 is very frustrating. All the way up to the once holy city of Travancore, which is now guarded by the fallen Zakarum paladins. The fourth act has you descending into hell, from Pandemonium all the way down to the rivers of flame, where Diablo's forces are most numerous and powerful. Finally, in the fifth act, you ascend the cold and snow-covered Mount Ariat, above the barbarian city of Harrogath. The frozen wastelands are swarming with demons, corruption, and undeath. And at the very peak of all of it is the Lord of Destruction, who casts a dark shadow on the snow-covered lands. Diablo 2's horror elements are masterfully woven into each of the settings, not only giving you variety and something to keep you engaged throughout, but also contributing to your understanding of the scale of the world and this invasion. Most importantly, however, it allows you to experience horror in the many diverse forms that are present in this world. You have your common denominator, which are the demons, the undead, and all sorts of unholy creatures. With the changing backdrops, each were created to suit their particular location, making...
Yeah, that's what I was about to say when she showed all the zone. I kind of realized that every monster seems like they adapted to their own environment, and it's so cool. Like in a lot of video games, they don't do this. Like if you're in the winter zone, like the demons and the monsters, they become winter, and like in the sand, you only have like sand monsters. It's pretty much like if the demons, they either adapted or they transformed the current like living creatures that were there, and they became whatever they are right now. So they're like the sand creature that were there, now they're just demons.
Full use of the unique and specific concepts tied to each of these locations. Because of course a medieval England type setting is going to have evil demon goatmen. Of course there's going to be dark woods surrounded by undead with a large cathedral that was desecrated by demons, which by the way resembles a real-world Christian Gothic cathedral something that you would see quite a lot around Ireland or the UK.
Yeah.
And of course, you'd have humanoid vipers and electric scarabs in the desert. It's as if your childhood fears surrounding the unknown were carefully studied by the developers, and seemingly non-existent boogeymen were manifested into existence. Everything scary and evil that you can imagine in one of these particular locations exists here, and it hunts for you at every turn. In that same way, it seems that Diablo 2 will take from the darkest and most sinister stories from the real world and make them canon to its own. A great example of this is the Countess in the Forgotten Tower from Act 1. In-game, she is introduced as having once bathed in the rejuvenating blood of 100 virgins, and then being buried alive.
That's also what I like, just sorry for cutting the video, but that's what I really like about Diablo 2 and other games like this one. Because they were old, like there was no... Back in the day, the devs were able to do exactly what they wanted to do with the story. They could make it as dark as they could, as dark as they wanted to be, right? Maybe, as long as there were no some extreme nudity or something like that. Like in Diablo 2, even Diablo 1, like it's very, very dark. Like the stories, they don't hold back, and that's perfect. Like we don't hold back. Create the world you want to create as a dev. But now it seems like today they want to do it, but they have restrictions. They cannot do as they want. Like they're gonna have some pushback from like ads, sponsors, or something like that, and they're gonna have to dial it back, and it prevents the game from having the setting that it should have.
All that's left of her castle is one single tower, standing as a monument to evil. It is believed that her fortune was divided among the clergy, even though there is still some treasure buried in the tower with her. Some of you may not know this, but she is in fact a direct reference to a real-life countess from Hungary, Elizabeth Bathory. By some, she is believed to have been one of the most prolific female serial killers in history, after taking the lives of countless young girls to bathe in their blood in an attempt to try and retain her own youth. After her crimes were discovered, she was confined to her castle, and there are two theories here. One is that she was put into a bricked-off room where she couldn't even fully stand, and the other is that she could freely move about the castle, but she was still on a sort of a house arrest. She died there in 1614, and all that remains of her castle now are ruins. The castle's chapel appears to have been the best preserved over the centuries, looming over the earth in a similar fashion to the Forgotten Tower from Diablo 2. The real-life Elizabeth Bathory could well have been a female Dracula that took the lives of young girls in the name of her vanity. But there is another theory. Some speculate that she was a victim of slander, and that her fortunes and castle fell to the hands of ambitious men that couldn't otherwise take these things from her. Was she truly a murderer, or were these stories...
That's possible. Like in The Witch back in the day, like basically anything you would do out of the ordinary, they would just declare you a witch. And it could be the exact same. Like they just wanted her dead, so they just made up some weird story about her and they just killed her for it. Probably that's maybe even more probable, but I don't know.
Simply the machinations of one Gheorghe Turzo, who was the main accusant and investigator when it came to these horrifying claims. Turzo was a nobleman who stood to gain quite a lot from her downfall, and it is to this day debated whether he was seeking justice for victims of a monster or devising a politically driven plot to steal all the land and wealth owned by Elizabeth Bathory. Diablo 2 takes the darkest and most evil...
It's just crazy that someone would make up a story like this to kill someone. Like, he probably didn't have to go that far. Like, this guy's like, oh yeah, she killed virgins to bathe in their blood so she can live eternally. Like, you're going very far just to accuse someone of, I don't know what that would allow you to arrest them or like kill them, because I'm sure execution was still on the table back then.
Version of events, and forever immortalizes the Blood Countess, confirming her to be everything that she was accused of. Let's look at the very idea of evil. The earliest humans would have interpreted it as anything that causes the suffering and harm of others. And while there are deeper understandings and definitions depending on one's own moral compass and beliefs, what we will focus on here is religion, particularly Christianity. The Christian perspective on evil comes from the interpretation and understanding of the Bible, and Diablo 2 heavily features a lot of religious imagery and related themes throughout the game. The very concept of Diablo, or the devil as he is in the game, is like how Christians interpret Satan. Though
Yeah,
his
well,
appearance and general
Christians,
idea
but
of demons in game
I don't know how they picture demons in like other countries. I'm sure it's close to that, like the horns, redskin. I don't know how they would in other religion if they have demon.
also take inspiration from other sources, the concept of angels and demons battling each other very much take inspiration from real-world Christianity, especially in terms of the aesthetics. The very first act features a cathedral, in the depths of which the demon queen Andariel sits on her throne. The look of the cathedral, its layout, the interiors, the art, the tombs, all very much resemble a Christian Gothic-style cathedral. Even the catacombs give it that same essence. And again, it of course makes sense given that the setting of the wilderness is, like we said before, very close to a sort of medieval UK or Ireland. The obvious crosses, Christian altars, and other related imagery, though attributed to a fictional in-game religion, all give us the same picture. Uniquely, it has made Diablo 2 one of those games that a lot of people didn't get to experience at a young age because their parents refused to buy them a game that featured the literal devil on it. Now,
dude, my parent didn't give a fuck. I don't remember when they bought me the game. And the worst thing is that when they bought the game, I didn't know it at first because I first played World of Warcraft, right? And I wanted to play other Blizzard's game. And I saw Diablo 2 and I had some friends that was playing the game already. So I was like, oh, damn, I could join you, right? I could play Diablo 2. And we bought the game. I went to install it and surprise, surprise, I had a Mac. And Mac don't run on Diablo 2. I'm not even sure if to this day you can play Diablo 2 on Macintosh. So maybe you can. To be honest, they probably have refined the technology yet. They can probably convert a game more easily to Mac. But back in the day, I could not. So I actually sold the video game to one of my friends. And I was able to play it once or twice where I was when I was with him, but like he was the one that actually played the game. And eventually I got my own PC and I was able to buy the game for myself, but that was much, much later. But yeah, I was not really able to play the game back then because of that. But my parents were ready to buy the game. I think my parents maybe didn't know that the game was about to be this dark, but I think I was still old enough. I don't know how old I was, probably like I was between like 8 to maybe 11 years old when I tried about that game. Like if I was closer to 11 years old, I think I was old enough to play a game like Diablo 2. 8 years old, maybe not. I don't know. Like you don't really understand what's going on. And back then I didn't really read everything. So I was just going through the game. Like yes, it was dark and there was demons, but I was not reading through like all the lore. So I was not really aware of all that was happening. But when you start reading in Diablo 2, even Diablo 1, it gets really dark really fast.
All of this, surrounded by demons, a cathedral desecrated by the forces of evil, blood-stained altars, demonic chanting in a sacred place of worship. This in itself is already a win for evil.
Yeah, this fucker's always immune to cold.
They got this far, they did this amount of damage, and these are the images that we all have in our heads when we think of Diablo. In that, by several definitions and understandings of evil, we can clearly see how it prevails at every turn. It's what makes a lot of people love this game. Similarly, the holiest order that exists in this world, the Paladins of Zakarum, have also fallen to corruption. Now perhaps here we're seeing less Christian themes and some different polytheistic religious influences with the temples and the architecture. It's the same idea, something that is considered to be the purest of the pure, falling to Diablo's demonic minions. The blood-stained halls in a place of worship, brought to ruin by the hands of the very people who were supposed to protect it. Time and time again, bastions of faith and hope are seen in this state. There's one part in the game that to this day just makes me feel sick thinking about it, and it's the harem in the palace in Lut-Galen. Not only is it the image of this place that is adorned with silks and decorative pillows covered in blood, it's the music. A lament to all of the women and other innocents who were mercilessly slain in a place that was deemed safe, had armed guards at the doors, and in general was this luxurious haven in the jewel city of Lut-Galen. But the most painful example of this is Tristram. You might say to me that this game isn't evil, because here you are, literally on the side of the good guys, fighting that good fight, slaying, massacring all of the demons, but you've been here before. You've already done all of this. Let's go back to the beginning and talk about what happened in Diablo 1. Diablo 1 features 3 heroes: the warrior, the rogue, and the sorcerer. Tristram was set upon by dark riders who killed many of the townsfolk and took others away, down into a desecrated church on the edge of town where they performed their dark rituals. The heroes descend into the catacombs. They defeat Diablo, the Dark Lord who sits at the final level of the dungeons. This is a great triumph. Tristram is saved and evil has been purged. However, the fate of the heroes is grim, and eventually it leads to the events of Diablo 2, where a lot more than just Tristram was lost to the demon invasion. The final cinematic in Diablo 1 shows the warrior who decides to remove the soul stone from Diablo's head, which reveals that he was using another, Prince Albert, as a vessel. The warrior then stabs his own head with the soul stone in an attempt to contain Diablo within himself. As a final message at the very end of the game, you read the following: "The soul stone burns with hellfire as an eerie red glow blurs your vision. Fresh blood flows into your eyes, and you begin to hear the tormented whispers of the damned. You have done what you knew must be done. The essence of Diablo is contained. For now. You pray that you've become strong enough to contain the demon and keep him at bay. Although you have been fortified by your quest, you can still feel him, clawing his way up from the dark recesses of your soul. Fighting to retain control, your thoughts turn towards the ancient, mystic lands of the Far East. Perhaps there, beyond the desolate wastes of Aranok, you will find an answer. Or perhaps salvation." The hero who liberated Tristram and defeated Diablo, in turn himself becomes Diablo and causes immeasurable destruction in his wake. Tristram and all of its humble townsfolk fall victim to the wave of demons that followed. And
Hello, Angela Wilson, how are you? How's it going?
aftermath which we get to witness in the process of saving the survivor, Deckard Cain. It's a depressing sight. Not even the young boy Wirt was spared in the attack. A village that you worked so hard to save in the first game, gone and completely overtaken by demons and the undead. As for the rest of the heroes, the sorcerer lost his mind after venturing into the catacombs and became the summoner, who you actually find in the arcane sanctuary. The rogue succumbs to Andariel's corruption and becomes the Blood Raven. A grim and tragic fate befell the first game's heroes, and all their efforts proved futile against the true evil of this world. But
and the other one was what Griswold, right?
And
also, it doesn't say about the warrior. What? They actually made the summoner, the sorcerer from the first game, and Bloodraven the... Oh my god. Dude, that's so not... I didn't know that. That's so cool. Dude, the lore is so masterfully intertwined. Like, that's something you don't see nowadays. Where the game one is actually... It's not like an excuse to... The second one is not, oh, we need to make a second game, so we're like gonna modify the lore. Like, I guess they kind of did modify the lore, but they added to it. That's so cool.
Game's heroes, and all their efforts proved futile against the true evil of this world. But going back to Diablo 2, the heroes fight on, liberating the lands of demonic influence and corruption. At the very end, you face Baal, who has corrupted the World Stone, the very thing which stood as a protective barrier for the mortal realm against demon and even angel invasion. You unfortunately find yourself in a lose-lose situation, because although you vanquish Baal and his forces, the World Stone again has already been corrupted, and according to Tyrael, it must be destroyed. The implications of its destruction are catastrophic, because not only has it left the world vulnerable and susceptible to further invasions, the shards that were scattered across the world have left their own trails of destruction. Nothing was going to be the same. Nobody really knew what would happen, but most suspected that it wouldn't be anything good. Ultimately, evil reached further than we could before it was stopped, and this led to the destruction of life as it was known prior to the events of the game. It is an ambiguous and disheartening end to the story. Even as you make your way through the game, the whole time it's almost as if victory is just within your grasp, but the demons are time and time again several steps ahead. Each time that you get to a point where you think you're going to interrupt this unholy quest, you're overtaken and you just have to keep going. Evil prevails. But perhaps the most evil and hellish element of this game is one that I think a lot of people never really stop to think about. You spend all this time going through the world, helping its inhabitants rid their homes of these demons and other evil beings. You
Okay.
get to know the townsfolk in the process. You start to care for them and their situation. You truly feel like a hero as you liberate the world from the invaders. But one thing never sat right with me, and I guess I didn't realize how much it bothers me until I thought about it very recently. The thing is,
Okay.
you never get to see the impact of your actions on other inhabitants. Yes, you get rewarded for your deeds and you unlock new dialogue options, but you never get to see the rogues go back to their monastery. The beautiful palace will forever be a gruesome resting place to the young, unsuspecting girls that perished at the hands of demons there. The holiest places in the world are reduced to blood-stained halls and echoes of corruption. The 2 times that you do see an impact is when you save Deckard Cain and Anya, who appear in town after you find them. But
True.
other than that, the demons continue appearing. You go through normal, nightmare, and hell difficulties, not to mention Ubers. Now I understand that these are not canon story elements and they're just gameplay mechanics, but the more you think about it, the more it starts to feel like the entirety of the game is like being in hell. It's a never-ending cycle, infinite hordes, with all of the dangers always waiting for you and none of the fruits of your effort ever being shown to you.
But I think it was a great way.
Happy ending.
It was a great way for them to make every zone of the game like actually level appropriate when you reach the last one. So you start in normal, the game gets progressively harder. It also works with hell too, but at this point all the monsters are very high level. So if you want to go back to Act 1 in hell, you can still farm some very strong item. There's even zones where the monsters are max level, like they can drop every item in the game. Like it's very good for that. But the game was not made in the sense that people would restart the game and get max gear. I think the game was made in mind that at least we would maybe aim to get Ubers, and that's it. That was probably what they thought we would do, and then they realized that people were a bit more insane. They would try to reach level 99.
And yet, you want to go back. It's addictive. It has a hold on you like no other. It's enough to hear one soundbite from the game to bring back the images of the fallen cathedral, or an
like that's the game I play. Like, let's say I don't have internet tomorrow, but I still have electricity. That's the game I'm going to play because you can play offline. That's my choice. My game of choice when I don't have internet. It's so good.
ancient tomb with all of the gore and horrific aftermath of the demonic activities that went on there. The evil is what brings you back. Evil is all you can see in the game. It's as disturbing as it is enticing, stimulating all of your senses, from the visually striking creatures to the haunting music that will forever loop in your mind as you're reminded of this masterpiece. Diablo 2 is more than just a game that you play. It's a game with a particular energy, one that perhaps not even the developers intended to create, but it manifested in the art to create a brilliant and unbeatable experience that, at its core, is dark and it's evil. Another wholesome childhood favorite of mine. But that about covers it for this video on why Diablo 2 is an evil game. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. As always, big shout out to my channel members. Thank you guys so much. And I'll see you all in the next video. Be seeing you. Bye.
Yeah, that was a good video. That was a very good video. I thought it was over. I was about to click it off. What is she gonna do? Or maybe that's just the outro. Oh yeah, okay. I thought like something interesting would happen. Okay, I'm gonna link the video in the chat. I want to also link it on Kick. If you want to give it a sub, give it a like. I'm actually going to give her a sub too. Give a like to the video. It was very good. Yeah, and now that we watched it, I kind of want to play Diablo 2 now, so that's a problem.